This is Meltdown Live, presented by MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag for double your initial deposit. You sign on to make a deposit, they double it with code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag.
This is the Meltdown. We're live with you here on this Tuesday. Thank you for being with us in the Culver studio as we broadcast daily, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. Hit subscribe, hit like, hit that notification bell. You know all the things to hit. I'm going to hit this Culver's cup right here and thank Culver's for sponsoring our studio. We love Culver's. It is fantastic. If you haven't tried it, try Culver's of Birmingham or Culver's of Hoover. Can't go wrong. 2 great locations, and you'll have a great time there at Culver's. I guarantee it. I am Tim Melton. Joining me here in the Culver studio is the one and only E.G. E.G. It has grown increasingly frequent for people to want to know what's the latest in poker life.
That sucked.
Yeah.
It was not a good night for me. Okay.
No, not a good night for you. My vibe on you was that you were not in poker territory. Like you were not in the poker mindset. You were not ready to destroy the poker game. However, I don't really blame anything that happened last night on you.
I
Like
know.
you played with intensity,
Yeah.
determination, grit,
Yes, thank you.
fire.
Thank you.
But you had pocket queens, your favorite hand in the history of poker hands, which I'm telling you was going to get you hurt a
I
lot.
know that they have. I'm out. I want to make a joke, but I can't on air about pocket queens.
Okay. It'd probably be a great joke. But now Tyler's like, I want to hear poker talk for the first time.
Man, Ichi's been working blue for the past few days.
Yeah, the pennant grace today was a
Wow.
great moment.
There was
It was a great moment. But you had pocket queens, and I think probably what made it worse was El Presidente up here
so
at
nonchalant
Disrupt Media, our boss, Reed Taylor.
calls.
You push all in with pocket queens. It's the right move at the time.
Now, everyone watching, it was unlimited rebuys, and I was dwindling. I needed to double up.
You needed to double up. You get snap called, and you turn over the queens, and it takes him a while to turn over his
No,
cards.
that's why I was annoyed.
It was a slow roll.
It was slow roll, but
He-
we at that point it was just us in the hand.
And you're like, you're like, okay, what am I up against here? Am I up against ace king? Am I up against,
Yeah, I
ace
was
10?
praying it was ace king.
Oh, sure. And he turns over the pocket kings.
I needed a queen.
And I actually, if I remember it correctly, didn't he catch a king on the flop?
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought it was like
No, because there was still hope, I think.
there was still hope. It was brutal. It was brutal.
And then I had my full house beat my quads.
That is also correct.
And then I had ace 9 suited beat by
Throughout the season, you've had this happen.
yeah. Pocket aces.
Yep.
That was last night. I've had multiple quads just take
I
me
guess
out.
the question I have is the game provides heartbreak. It also provides
Euphoria.
elation.
Yeah.
So, do you still have a good relationship with the game, or are you having to?
No, I mean,
Is it complicated?
No, it's not complicated. Golly, I'm not. I'm here, but my brain is elsewhere. Complicated. I enjoy the game, but this is hilarious. It's taking me back to like my lacrosse days, where it's like good, and then you have like 2 bad games, and you're like, who am I as a player?
Right.
And then it's like every move, you're overthinking, and I'm overthinking at this point.
Poker players just habitually they have this thing happen where when they're running good, they feel invincible. And when they have a string of bad luck, it makes them question their entire worth as an individual.
Everything. And I will say this, yeah, literally. So in the beginning, I was like steadily building, but the blinds were so small. It was such little small pots I was getting. Like it wasn't really anything of substance. After, I would say at like 850, the highest card I get was a 10.
Mm.
And so I kept trying to make a move. And then if I got in, it would be like total action flop. King,
Yeah.
queen. And I was like, I can't
even bluff.
I can't even bluff.
Yeah.
I mean, it was brutal, and like nothing was going my way.
I was actually impressed you stuck around as long as you did because
Afterwards,
that cool down period is typically very important. Whenever
Yeah.
you've been busted and you're watching everybody else get cards and you want
I'm, like
cards and
twitching.
you're twitching, you're jonesing for some more action there, but you sticking around and being a good sport and calming down, and I think that all of that's healthy because the
Yeah.
drive home from a bad beat in poker is never
Well,
fun.
and it's too late to call anyone typically to, like, get your mind off things, so it's you and your radio,
It's awful.
and it sucks.
It is, but it teaches you a lot about yourself too. If you can make it through, bounce
Yeah,
back, and then come back stronger and play well,
fair
cause
enough.
you gotta wash away the bad days. So that was a rough one to see last night. You were sitting to my left. I feel like you're either sitting next to me or Dunaway
Every
every
day.
game.
I mean, every game, every game.
Yeah,
I guess every day too.
every day as well.
No, yeah, and our table was I liked our table. It was very tale of 2 tables for sure, unlimited rebuys. Table 1 or table 2 was just all in, all in, all in.
You do have people wanting you to make the Queen's joke, whatever it is,
I
but
can't.
you're gonna have to
It's
just hold that one.
just you make your own joke about it, and then maybe that was it.
Okay, that's perfect. Tyler, Lionel, John's here with us in the Culver studio. Tyler, it sounds like your Monday night went a little bit better than EG's. How are things with you, my friend?
Oh, they're good. They're good. Last night I got to relax a bit and eat some good food, watch
You
some good TV.
you didn't consider going back and watching the Minecraft movie
No,
second time?
believe it or not, I
Look,
did not. The screen unseen last night ended up being dropped, and I was still like, I made the right decision.
I'm actually weirdly looking forward to that movie. I hope it's good.
I have seen some poor reviews
Oh,
for it.
poor reviews?
Yeah,
Oh, that's not good.
it's
Um,
on. I want to say like between 5.4 and like 6.3 on IMDb last I saw.
yeah, that's not good. It's Blumhouse too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fall into this trap with Blumhouse yet again, probably, and go see, give them my money and then be upset that I watched garbage.
Mm.
But who knows? Maybe it'll be fun. Maybe it won't be. I don't know. It can't be the worst thing I've seen this year. I say that, but haven't seen it yet. But the movie that you say is the worst this year that you've seen is Minecraft.
Yes.
And you have not been this passionate about a movie being awful since Sting came out. And you were probably a little bit,
Oh,
yeah, you were probably, it had to do a lot probably with that was when you were just starting out doing this routine. You
yes.
see Sting, you still think it's an awful movie, but you've seen the Thanos meme of perhaps I judged you too harshly.
Yes.
Like that was you starting out and I haven't seen you this passionate about how much you hate a movie on all platforms here at Disrupt Media than what we're getting right now with you in Minecraft. Now, you not only hate the movie, but I think you also hate the movement behind the movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fan of any sort of social media trend at the movies unless it is something just like Barbenheimer or Gentle Minions, where the idea is just you're dressing up to go see the movie, but at the end of the day, you're watching the movie and not disturbing anybody.
Yeah.
That's not the movement behind Minecraft.
We've seen the social media clips. You played one on TNR today of when they get to the scene of the chicken jockey. We talked about this yesterday, but there's extra elements to this. There's extra chapters, and Minecraft is such a huge hit, and there's literally nothing else at the box office that matters right now, that it warrants a second day of discussion and developments because after having seen all these viral clips, people may be being concerned about going to the theater and having things thrown over their head. Like,
Mm.
e.g., what would be your reaction if you go to a movie? You don't know anything about this, right? You're taking your niece to the movie. Maybe you're taking,
Oh,
you know,
hands would be thrown.
and you get stuff thrown all over you.
I would sue.
You would sue? I don't feel like you would go like you'll be hearing from my lawyers. I feel like you would immediately take action.
I would probably get sued.
Correct.
Correct. When earlier when EG said that she played lacrosse, I'm not sure if you had ever mentioned that or if I just wasn't listening when you had mentioned it previously.
I did
But
not know that.
but when she
Mm.
mentioned it, I just immediately went, that tracks.
Yeah,
Lacrosse players
I
are
loved it.
aggressive.
You could say a few yellow and red cards came my way, and I was an offensive player.
So,
You're not even supposed to be defending and like going after people like that.
I remember one time, guys, there was a, out of bounds play or whatever, and I had it, and I was supposed to, like, give it to the girl 'cause I turned it over. I was babysitting from, like, me to Tim. I launched that thing at her face. A lacrosse ball.
And this was your teammate?
No, the other
Oh,
team,
other
because
team.
I turned it over because she and
Oh,
it ru
okay.
and but I had to scoop it up. I went, "Pop!" The ref did
Ooh.
not like that.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, but beyond the subject, I would probably I would come up on y'all's feeds. Crazy lady at the movies.
Like, we're seeing crowds get into it at these screenings. I've seen reports on social media of it happening north of Jefferson County. I'm not gonna get into more specifics of, like, there being a altercation during the Minecraft movie and then boycotts being called for on social media and people touching other people and, like, what is happening?
It's the society's collapsing,
You're
and
not wrong.
it's
This is a reflection of that.
this is a reflection of, the subsect of humanity that are appearing at this movie, apparently.
I am weirdly conflicted about the Minecraft movie
Tell me more.
because the movie theaters have been struggling so hard.
That is true.
But this is a short-term help.
I that's exactly what I said.
You're drawing away, you're pushing away more people than you're drawing in.
They need money,
Yeah.
and they're
Yes,
getting money out of
It's
this.
dirty money.
It's
it is. And that's what I said yesterday. Studios and people like you, Tim, are getting in the bed with the devil
I'm not
because
yeah, that is a
No.
hold on, that's very intense allegation.
well,
Getting in bed with the devil.
it is
I was
because it's movies like this and experiences like this where studios go, "Wow, we made a lot of money. Why don't we kind of tailor our movies to that experience?" And the idea is that more social
right.
media trends will be sort of uh, promoted and created by the studios and tried to
But
like
this isn't a
use
studio
use.
creation.
No, it's not a
Yeah.
studio creation. It's an organic meme, but I'm saying studios will try to create capitalize on that, like what we saw with the Dune bucket. Um, that originally was just kind of a collectible, and then it became a meme,
Yeah.
and now popcorn buckets are the crazy new thing, and you've got to make them as wild as possible.
There's a lot of things you're saying I agree with, but I just want to get to the point again that theaters have been a ghost town this year. Like, you agree with that. We
Yeah.
agree up to that point.
Yes.
Theaters are struggling, theaters are closing. I mean, it was really a crucial point. You said this line to me out of Woman in the Yard. You said this to me off camera. Tell me I'm lying. If this Minecraft movie underperforms, theaters may be cooked.
Yes, I did say
You
that.
said that to me.
Yes, 100%.
Guess what? The Minecraft movie,
Because I saw it as a I said if you can't make money off of Minecraft, you can't make money off of anything anymore.
and it's made the most money in the history of cinema when it comes to video game adaptations. I
Yes.
mean, it broke all kinds of records. It's one of the highest grossing Warner Brother movies ever released already, and it's only going to continue to go up the charts. It's like doing incredible numbers. And not every screening is pure chaos.
Mhm.
Yours was not pure chaos.
No, no.
Yours may have not been enjoyable, but it was not pure chaos.
Yeah, mine wasn't pure chaos, but I had also kind of
Planned
made
it
the
that way.
decision of like, yes, I played it that way where like I'm gonna try and avoid the most amount
Sure.
of people as I possibly can because like at the time it was just to avoid the crowds.
Right.
I did not know about the trends.
Honestly, I don't think anybody did, like, fully
Yeah.
know about the trends, right?
I mean, I guess unless you're tapped into Minecraft memes,
Yeah, I mean, I think there were people aware of what they were going to do, and they were aware through different subreddits or whatever, what the plan was.
I've seen articles calling this Rocky Horror Picture Show for Gen Z. And that
Interesting.
feels like just such a disrespectful take
Yeah.
to Tim Curry and the entire cast of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I would want a sample size done on this to see how many screenings, like, given out of the theater survey, how many screenings dealt with the problem to the extreme of what's been reported. Because I would imagine that as awful as some screenings are, out to the majority, the silent majority, if you will, are normal films.
Well,
Mhm.
and let's not forget, it's really gonna be primarily weekend screenings that
Yeah,
this happens because
true.
of the
Yes.
availability of the demographic that's making this an issue. But you guys know that once a fire gets started on social media, typically there's a lot of people that want to be a part of that
Yeah.
and throw more logs onto the fire, which is why weekend 2 is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
And really after today, I don't I I don't really want to talk a lot of Minecraft the rest of the week because we need another sample size of the weekend to see if it becomes a bigger issue or if it dies down. I am curious how big of a percentage drop there's going to be, but it is by far and away the biggest movie in the world right now. It is the topic of conversation. It is dominating social media. It's dominating the box office. It's making its way onto TNR. It's become a cultural conversation to talk about Minecraft. And like Tyler's sort of alluding to here, there's going to be a major push from the studios to go, what is the next video game IP that we can tap into? Because it's
Doing well.
superhero IP right now is flailing. Video game IP is on the up and up. I
Well,
mean,
that's what PlayStation Productions has been doing. Sony's production company for specifically the PlayStation live action adaptations. They've just been throwing stuff at the wall. Whether it's a Twisted Metal series that no one asked for, the Uncharted movie
right.
where it was horribly cast. I like Tom Holland in the movie, but Mark Wahlberg should not have been anywhere near that production as Sully. Disgusting. Or the Until Dawn adaptation that has absolutely nothing to do with the game.
Sony's putting out their Zelda movie, which is going to be
Yes.
live action, done by Wes Ball, who
Mhm.
did Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes that
Yep.
we saw last year. If Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes had released this year, it would be clearly my favorite movie of the year so far. I mean, like
I enjoyed it so much.
it was good. It wasn't great, but like it would if it came out this year, I'd be like, oh my gosh, finally something to watch. Minecraft is not made for me. Okay, Minecraft is actually supposed to be made for Tyler. It's
Well,
supposed to be.
I liked the game fine. I mean, it came out in 2011, 2012, so I did play it when it first came out. I played when Pocket Edition first dropped on iOS. And then I just got older and never kept up with it. Even though I watched plenty of Minecraft YouTube, I got all the references in the movie, but
When
this yeah.
I'm sorry, when
So
you and I talk about short-term versus long-term benefits, right?
uh-huh.
This movie's a short burn. I
Mhm.
mean, this is not going to inspire generations to come back to the movies
No.
and enjoy long-form content. This is made for people who enjoy short-form, viral, it's all about me content.
If you've seen the article about Netflix wanting to produce more second screen content for basically just like background noise, the same approach was taken here.
What is happening? I mean, we can't our attention spans, we just cannot focus on long-form things anymore. Like we've been reprogrammed
It's crazy.
to only be able to ingest short clips of things over and over and over again, and then claim we did all the work of reading the entire book or watching the entire movie or,
It's not good.
seeing the entire play or, like, I wonder how long it's gonna take before live theater sort of falls into this trap of people not being able to sustain 2 acts of a play, something like that. I mean, I don't know if we're already there or whatever, but
I mean,
now live theater it skews older,
yeah.
but what's the future of live theater if people can't sit down and not look at their phones and not have things ingested in short form?
The only stories I've been seeing out of the live theater world were Othello and then the George Clooney production that happened right after, and that's because both of them were breaking records for Broadway box office.
There's also the one with Kieran Culkin and Bill Burr that's happening right now.
Oh,
Uh, Glenn Glenn Ross or
oh,
whatever.
okay.
Yeah, it's doing pretty well.
That
But
was the Alec Baldwin movie.
yeah,
It's like always be selling or whatever.
yeah, it's that's an interesting production. But I guess the biggest negative I have is that this doesn't change the long form problem, but it does provide some short-term stimulus to a theater ecosystem that desperately needs something to draw people in. You have people like Jay that says, I want to say that at 1 p.m. on Sunday in Alabaster, it was mostly young kids and parents, and everyone behaved other than the kids cheering and such, which is fine. And Tyler, you've made that clear. Like,
Yeah,
you understand when you go into a family movie, a kids movie, that like kids interacting with the screen is something that should be expected.
yeah, and like, I expect laughs to be louder than the typical adult laugh because, as adults, we tend to pay more attention to the social situation and say, I can't really just belt out a belly laugh right
Yeah.
here in the middle of a crowded theater. But if you're in, something like Minecraft, something like Dogman, yeah, the kids are gonna roar with laughter when there's a fart joke.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine. That just means they enjoy the movie. But, my I tried to be specific uh in saying like my issue is with people not actively watching the movie.
Yeah. Variety reports Warner Brothers and Legendary's A Minecraft Movie is causing such a sensation among young moviegoers that one Cineworld theater in Oxfordshire is warning its patrons not to get disruptive or they will be removed from the venue without a refund, according to a BBC News report. Videos of Minecraft moviegoers getting rowdy inside the theater have gone viral on social media, sparking a trend that encourages viewers to clap, shout, throw popcorn, and do more even during pivotal moments of the movie, including Jack Black proclaiming "I am Steve" and yelling "Chicken Jockey."
Pivotal? I mean, I
That's
guess
the
I Am
reporting.
Steve would have been a pivotal moment in the movie, but
Pivotal
chicken
moments.
jockey is literally a throwaway line.
I guess pivotal, depending on who it is that's defining what's pivotal, because the people that are enacting these sort of viral sensation moments are the ones that believe these moments are pivotal. So I don't know. The notice at the Cineworld reads, quote, any form of antisocial behavior, especially anything that may disturb other guests, such as loud screaming, clapping, and shouting, will not be tolerated. Anyone who is found to be acting in this manner will be removed from the screening and not entitled to a refund. E.g., we went to go see Wicked.
Yes, we did.
Do you remember AMC issuing a statement to everybody going, please, no singing during
Yeah,
this?
I was like, yeah,
They had it in the pre-roll of the show, like no
yeah,
singing, no dancing, no
don't
making
here's
noise, don't
No,
do
no
anything else.
wailing.
No wailing, none of that. And it became a big thing where it became such a big thing the studio decided we're going to put out a sing-along version a month later. So behave for a month and then we'll put out a sing-along version. I don't know. I didn't attend.
Yes. If this is leading to, is there going to be a similar thing for Minecraft? Yes.
Oh,
There will be a Rocky Horror Picture Show style screening where the audience is encouraged to participate in the chicken jockey scene.
you think?
Mhm.
Absolutely. 1000%.
I'm gonna take that doesn't happen.
You're telling me Warner
Now,
Brothers doesn't want more money right now?
they're not going to encourage people to go into theaters and trash them the way they are. Like that's what they're doing in the theater, right? It's not just the screaming. It's like they're doing it and then it's an eruption of all kinds of
No.
consumables. Like,
Yes.
and they're not going to ever encourage that.
So, what about Rocky Horror Picture Show? You're encouraged to throw rice at the screen for that.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit of a. I just feel like it's a little bit of
I
a different situation. I don't feel like you got me if that's what you're trying to
I'm
like.
saying both of them. You're throwing consumable objects at the screen
Yeah.
that are going to get in crevices and be hard to clean.
How many Rocky Horror Picture Show screenings have you seen at AMC?
There's usually one a year.
I never see them at AMC. I see them at like the Alabama Theater. Sometimes it's had them. I've seen them as at independent theaters. That's not really like as much of a mainstream thing as people make it out to be. But
There was definitely listings for it last
okay,
Halloween,
and
but I do see your point. They're
yeah,
not gonna they're not gonna have them trash the premium
there's not going to be
theaters.
15 shows a day, of Rocky Horror Picture Show with a bunch of kids showing up wanting to destroy the theater. I think it's not as strong of a comparison as maybe some have made it out just because there's a gimmick with that and there's a gimmick with this. I worry. By the way, you have other movie theaters that are issuing similar warnings. A spokesperson for England's Real Cinema said in a statement via People, quote, to ensure everyone has the best possible cinema experience, we're increasing our monitoring of screens during performances. Disruptive behavior, including taking part in TikTok trends before, during, or after a screening, will not be tolerated. Anyone causing disruption will be asked to leave, and where necessary, the police will be called. Now, that's a pretty big
Mhm.
step forward in action that's going to be taken. No tolerance policy. AMC has not released a statement, Tyler. Does that surprise you or not surprise you? Because they went the point I was trying to get to is they went to a pretty severe length to make sure that Wicked was not something that got out of control.
Mhm.
And now Minecraft is getting out of control and AMC is mute on it. Why do you think that is?
Well, 1, they need the money, and 2,
Think they like it?
I think they like it. They just like the idea of that many people being in one of their theaters because it hasn't happened in a while. So they'll take it however they can get it. And unfortunately for the the distributors for the theater chains, that's gonna cause a lot of the little guys at the theater to just leave. Because at the end of the day, you're not paid enough to deal
Yeah.
with the Minecraft crowd.
So from what I'm hearing is it's a lot like society where there's a large power broker system that loves the chaos. And then there's the people affected by the chaos that don't see any benefit from it that are asking why it's happening while
Yes.
the fat stacks get even fatter.
Yes.
And the people who don't like this have no leverage. They're regular moviegoers who may stumble into one of these screenings. I don't know why they would by now if they know what they're doing and they're a
Mhm.
regular moviegoer, they probably know about it. And then there's the employees who already face severe burnout from the job because staffing a movie theater is really tough. I don't think people understand just how tough it is.
Yeah, and this goes back to our conversation yesterday. I gave the list of like things that other moviegoers do that irritate me the most, and uh, one of the things I mentioned yesterday was people being inconsiderate to the staff there.
Right.
And one thing I always hear is like, "Oh, there's never anybody working here." Well, why do you think? What?
Well, there's a lot of reasons and there's the emotional burnout for sure, but there's also if you are managing the theater, how do you properly staff the theater to a point where you're not overpaying for man hours when your budgets are
Hmm.
so thin, the margins are so thin in your budget. So you don't want to overstaff and then end up taking a loss for the day potentially. And you don't want to understaff to where if you do have a rush and then everyone is served to a point of going, this stinks and I'm paying a premium price for no one to be here, no one to complain to, no one to come clean up X, Y, or Z, then it's a subpar experience that keeps people away. Movie theaters have 90 million hurdles that they have consumers jump over. And then you get them in a situation where there's a bad crowd, something that the theater typically can't control, and that pushes people away too. The model is broken. We've talked about it a lot, and it sucks. And Tyler, your fury about this Minecraft audience, breaking down the societal norms of the movie-going experience are fair. But it doesn't seem like AMC cares.
Hmm.
It doesn't seem like the studio really cares. And if they don't care, then who's left to fight the fight? There's not a lot of people other than
Just me and my seeing
yeah,
180 movies a year self.
yeah. The
But at the end of the day, AMC doesn't care even if they lose people like me because at the end of the day, they're not making that much money off of me because they got to fork over half of a ticket cost for every movie I go see, even though I'm not necessarily buying a ticket
yeah, but
and or necessarily buying concessions,
yeah,
even as much as I stop and get dinner or whatever.
yeah. The Glasgow Times noted that a local Cineworld put out the following notice, quote, "We've been informed of reports of an online trend that includes making excessive noise during a Minecraft movie. We would like to remind everyone to please be respectful to those around them by not making noise, nor being on their phones during any movie. Failure to do so may result in ejection from the cinema." It's one thing to have rules, it's another thing to have enforcement of them, and I very rarely see any rules enforced
Agreed.
at any of the theaters. So,
Worse than
like,
life.
no one takes them seriously because there's just not enough muscle to actually make people want to get out. Does every movie theater need to hire a bouncer?
Yeah.
I mean, the local one here has security, and I've seen them kick people out.
Yeah. I've seen them roaming the halls. I mean, it's good to see their presence.
Yeah.
They were actively kicking someone out during all of this Minecraft shenanigans when I was there over the weekend.
But that's one of 3 theaters that we frequent.
Yeah,
Like it can't be every theater. And some have the luxury of being able to do that. But I feel like,
I guess like the one that we're talking about.
yeah,
they have the security because the larger strip mall around it has security.
Correct.
The other ones don't do that.
Because of what part of town it's located in too.
Right.
Like, having visible security is a big part of their presence because they don't wanna become something like, I don't know, the Galleria,
Mhm.
where the reputation gets bad, and then they add the security, and by then it's potentially too late. So, there's a lot of socioeconomic elements to this story as well. This is a layered story, but, I didn't think in 2025 us coming on and talking about a record-breaking movie being a bad thing for theaters could possibly be an angle, and here we are, where a record-breaking movie has its major downsides for theaters. It's really sort of it's kind of a catch-22 here in that they're bringing in crowds, but they're not bringing in the crowds that are paying respect
Mhm.
to the process, and if there's
And the
one thing.
crowds they are bringing in aren't going to be regulars for things that are not meme worthy.
Correct, which is why we will see more meme-worthy content coming out probably very, very soon.
Well, isn't Michael Bay, yeah, I saw this months ago. I have no idea what the progress is on it, but Michael Bay was attached to produce and direct a movie based on Skibbity Toilet.
That sounds right. I mean, that sounds right. If it makes money.
Yeah,
Look, Warner Brothers issued a statement, and I want you to listen to this statement, Tyler, because they're speaking to you. You went to go see this movie. You ready? Quote, the largest domestic opening weekend of 2025, the biggest since July, and Warner Brothers' largest opening weekend since 2023. This is truly a world-class achievement. This is what happens when we believe in the power of our creativity, each other, and the strength of great storytelling.
they missed out on such an opportunity to say that like we believe in our craft, Minecraft.
That would have been very mindful of them. Let's
It would have been crafty.
It would have been very crafty. Hey, there's 3 individuals who are great at their craft. They're our friends. That's Dr. Jeff. That's Dr. Brian. That's Dr. Nolan over at Alabama Dental Associates, providing you all sorts of services when it comes to staying on top of your dental health. Maybe you have some major work that needs to be done, need to get in there and get that fixed up. Quit having tooth pain every day. There's no reason to chew on one side of your mouth. Head on in there and make sure that you're taken care of. At Alabama Dental Associates, they're accepting new patients now and can help you feel at ease about all of your upcoming dental procedures. For more information or to make an appointment, call them 205 956 8977 or visit alabamadental.com, where they look forward to seeing you. Okay, it's now time to get into our meltdown countdown. E.g., you're going to love this topic.
Okay.
Has she heard about it already?
I haven't told her about
She's
it.
gonna despise this topic. But we'll talk about your fear level here with this.
Oh,
I know, I'm so
I
sorry.
might walk
We're
out.
like a bunch of Minecraft kids ruining the experience for you. Um, which by the way, Minecraft skewed like 70% of the audience was like 25 or younger. So I mean, it's like once again, that should be looked at as a good thing and not
No, it's
not,
not.
not
It's
fully.
all the TikTok kids.
This is the meltdown countdown topic today. Horror movies, but it is which 5 killers from horror movies does Tyler consider to be his personal favorite?
Sounds like an oxymoron.
What do you mean?
How can you have a favorite killer?
That's what being a horror movie fan is. I know it's a strange thing to understand, and explaining it makes me feel even stranger. But as a horror movie fanatic, I promise it makes sense in my brain. I just can't fully explain why it would make sense in someone who doesn't like horror movies' brains.
All right.
So there we go. This will be fun. Tyler, how did you approach this list? Because I had some very specific parameters.
Yes, you did. You specifically said no honorable mentions and no ties. And I said, can I have at least one honorable mention, pretty please?
No.
And you said, no,
Yeah,
stop asking.
exactly. And then I backhanded you.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yep.
He smacked me around like some of you parents should be smacking around the Minecraft kids.
Jeez,
Bringing
Tyler.
that back from
It's
yesterday.
the second day that you've promoted some level of parental
I,
abuse.
I, I just said bringing that back from yesterday.
Now I feel like you just
If
smacked
if
me.
your kid's jumping around screaming chicken jockey
Yeah.
and throwing ices everywhere, you have failed as a parent. You have got a
Mm.
terrible person for a kid.
There you go.
They
All
can
right.
be a better person. They can change. But right now they're a terrible person.
You could show them these movies and that would maybe scare them straight. Where are we going with number 5 for favorite horror movie killers of all time?
Number 5, going with a slasher movie icon. Well, I guess first I should preface the list. Um, there were plenty to choose from because we love horror. And there were plenty I wanted to add to the list and talk about, either design wise or how much I loved that movie or how influential that movie was. But I had to keep it to five, strictly five. Um, so some hearts are gonna be broken, ripped out even. Uh, but these are the five I really like.
Okay. Once again, where are we starting with number 5?
Number five, starting with a slasher franchise that revolutionized the genre. It's Scream. I'm going with Ghostface.
That's a great answer.
And I picked the scary movie Ghostface just because I wanted the "What's up" picture on there.
Oh, okay. But you're picking all versions of
Yeah,
Ghostface as your
it's
pick.
Ghostface from Scream, but I wanted to put
Gotcha.
the "Was up" picture on there just for fun.
Do you have a favorite all-time Scream killer? I mean, is it Stu Monger?
Oh yeah,
Okay, I
yeah,
thought so.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Stu. What will be the future of Stu in the Scream franchise? That's one thing we're gonna have to find out. Cause the casting is leading us to have Stu return.
Is having a lot of people return, I
A
think.
lot of people, I mean, a lot of dead people too.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure it all out. They've done this with, Billy Loomis. They had him back in
Mhm.
previous movies where he kind of appeared as a vision, um, and almost like a force ghost. And I don't know if they're gonna do similar things here
But
because
how does that work if they're 30 years older now? Because, like,
they
you would if you're bringing back Stu, you wouldn't have his Force ghost be Matthew Lillard now because Stu would have never aged to that point. You would have it as Matthew Lillard in the 90s.
right. They were able to get Billy Loomis to look as much as they possibly could as the '96 version of Billy Loomis as they had Skeet Ulrich,
Mhm.
and they sort of made him look zombified a little bit, just a little bit. But anyway, I like the Scream franchise, and the reason it can keep going narratively the way it does is because there's different Ghostface every single movie.
Mhm.
And so it's a very strong pick, very versatile pick there at the number 5 spot. And I just wish he'd quit tripping over every single thing in the room. I mean, he falls a lot.
He
Ghostface is
does.
always hitting the
Things
ground.
falling though do make me laugh.
Okay, well, maybe you would be a Scream fan. I don't think you would like the first 10 minutes of Scream. I think you'd be out right there.
Yeah?
Yeah. No, I would, but people falling is my humor.
What's
Is
your favorite scary movie?
is the first 10 minutes of Scream in contention for
Eh,
most iconic opening to a movie ever?
yes.
What is the open?
Is
Uh,
Drew Barrymore.
She running?
She's at home, popping popcorn,
Oh, yes.
getting ready for her
The
boyfriend to come
window or
over.
something? Is her in the window?
She looks out a back patio
Yeah.
window and sees that her boyfriend is tied up and is bleeding out. And she's
Man,
freaking
even
out.
EG knew the opening to that movie.
I know.
That's how iconic it is.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, and the swerve, for those that don't remember, the swerve was that Drew Barrymore was promoted as being the big star of the movie. So in the first 10 minutes, she gets, and it's like, whoa, if they'll kill Drew Barrymore,
Who will they kill?
No
they'll,
one's safe.
no one's safe. And it was such a brilliant stroke of genius
Y
there.
Yeah, Scream is both, like, a meta take on the slasher genre and also one of the most creative slashers ever to be written.
1000%. Okay, let's move on. I also like the opening 10 minutes to Scream 2, by the way. Really love Scream 2. Let's go now to number 4 on your list.
Number 4 on my list, going with a classic. Now, this franchise ended up losing its way, in my opinion, but the first movie in this franchise is absolutely amazing. And I'm talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Leatherface, and of course, I've gone with the classic shot of Leatherface with the chainsaw over his head when he's swinging it around running. I love this movie. I really like the first movie because you would think, based on the subject matter and the name of the movie, that this is a real, like, gory movie. The first one isn't at all. It's more of an indie art house style deal, and that's why I ended up really liking X. But this movie is fantastic. I still think it holds up. It is dark, it's grimy, and that chainsaw sound is absolutely terrifying, and because of this shot, on screen right now, chainsaws made their way into horror and have never left. Past 50 years.
It's got an iconic aesthetic. Texas Chainsaw Massacre does, the
Mhm.
original. Toby Hooper.
Yes.
And I don't love the movie as much as a lot of other people do. Like the story narratively is pretty paper thin because it was the trendsetter that brought us a lot of other paper thin movies. This movie became so copied and
Yes.
watered down over time and everything, and it's kind of like maybe just doesn't hold as much weight as it used to, but it's beautifully shot and it gave us a Leatherface that has never been better
Oh, yeah.
than what
Like,
we get in the original.
this was made in 1974, and they still haven't made a better version of it
No.
in 50
And
years.
they keep trying
They
and they're
keep
gonna
trying. They have
continue to
tried
try.
so many times with so many different approaches to
Yeah.
Leatherface as a person, as a character, and the family around him, and they just haven't gotten it as right as Toby Hooper did the first time. And then also this also I believe this is the movie that popularized having the tagline based on a true story, even though there really wasn't a true story.
Yeah.
It's
That
based on.
sounds right. A lot of this was Ed Gein
Yeah,
inspired.
Ed Gein, and the only thing that the only Ed Gein influence in the movie is the fact that Ed Gein was a cannibal and made furniture out of his victims, lamps and couches and whatnot. I can see EG's face out of the corner of my eye. She is hating this conversation.
Hold on.
And
EG can hate this as much as she wants, but she'll admit one thing. The human flesh furniture probably still more comfortable than anything we have up here.
Absolutely.
can we get the bone chair?
Yeah.
uh,
Oh.
anyway,
There's more of our own blood on these than there was blood from
Right.
victims on the Ed Gein furniture.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yep.
this
That's
took a
really
turn.
the only Ed Gein inspired stuff in this movie. The reason they go with the based on a true story tagline is because Toby Hooper was walking down the street. He passes an electronics store, has a TV display. And I believe they were talking about the Ed Gein case or something similar at the time he was walking. And then a couple doors down is a hardware store, the chainsaw display. And so you just mix the two together, and now you got Leatherface.
Worked out.
It worked well.
I wish there was a rights dispute on Leatherface because um it's maybe one thing that needs a pause because they just keep churning them out and it's not good. And like a lot of other iconic characters, they caught in rights disputes and you get a chance to take a break from them and then maybe they'll come up with something great. But
We've gotten a break from bad Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
same with
Because
Friday 13th
yeah,
movies. But let's move on to number 3. I don't want to call this iconic killers list, but that's kind of what it
I
is.
mean, yeah.
I don't want to use the word iconic because there may be some on here that are maybe fresher or maybe they're already iconic. I don't know. I haven't heard the list, so I'm hearing it with you guys. Let's hear number 3.
Excuse me. Hmm.
You're good, man.
Ooh, big burp there. I was trying to keep away from the microphone. A little inside baseball there.
No, it's
All
not
right.
inside. It's very outside.
So there is one you you can call him a horror movie character. That's where I think this might be a little contentious, but I hope you'll agree that horror has changed a lot over the years. In 1954, one of the big fears by these filmmakers was of radiation, nuclear weapons, and of course, I'm talking about Godzilla, which has lasted for decades now. I've gone with the Godzilla -1 design because you guys know I love that. Tim knows I love that. He knows I love it so much that he got me a poster of Godzilla -1 for Christmas, and it's amazing. Um, Godzilla is just a really terrifying allegory for nuclear war and decay and pure destruction, because that's what the Japanese were still recovering from when Godzilla released. And that's why Godzilla is a product of nuclear waste or nuclear testing in a lot of stories.
I'm not surprised that Godzilla's on your list. Maybe not the most traditional of picks
Mhm.
because people immediately think of the slashers.
Right.
there's a reason I didn't tell you slashers. There's a reason I told you killers because
You're gonna tell me that Jason or Freddy Krueger is more of a killer than Godzilla? I don't think so.
well, here's what I am surprised by. That you have it number 3 on your list,
Hmm.
because I would have thought, Tyler, I mean, with your love of Godzilla, I mean, what's
Yes.
gonna top that? And you're telling me there's 2 things that top it. So, like, the fact that there's 2 things ahead of Godzilla on this list blows my mind.
1 through 3 was so hard to order, and you could honestly put them in any order, and I would be like, "Yeah, that works for me."
But here on Tuesday, April 8th, Godzilla's number 3.
Yeah, and I guess part of the reason why is because he doesn't really fall into that traditional horror as we look at horror these days, but if you go back to the '50s, monster movies were the thing, and you can go back earlier than that, the
Sure.
'30s and '40s,
Oh,
to
yeah,
the older, Universal Pictures stuff.
and they can't figure out how to make them relevant in 2025.
Man, I am praying for a Creature of the Black Lagoon remake, because I think that would be awesome, and I think you could do it in a similar style like
Yeah.
Nosferatu, have it about the love story and make it sort of dark and gothic almost, but, anyway, maybe Epic Universe brings that back a little
Maybe
bit
so,
more,
maybe so.
but Godzilla was number 3 on my list, but it could be number 1, it could be number 2. I love Godzilla.
Let's go to number 2. I wanna hear what beats it out.
Number 2, an absolute classic, bit more of a traditional horror villain, terrifying movie, one that is so well made that non-horror fans even have to go, "Now that's a film." And I'm talking about The Shining, Jack Torrance, played by Jack Nicholson. Um, yeah, this film holds up even so many years later with the same effect. The production quality is absolutely immaculate because of Stanley Kubrick's direction. Whether we're talking about the cinematography, like the perfectly symmetrical shots going down the halls of the Overlook Hotel, or the shots of the maze outside, or if we're talking about his actual direction to the actors, like making Shelley Duvall do like 1,000 takes or something crazy of the scene where Jack breaks in just to try and get the most exasperated, mentally exhausted take
Mm,
he could.
Sue.
And well, there's a lot of controversy
yeah.
behind it now because Shelley Duvall is like, "Yeah, I was in a bad mental state during that production because Stanley Kubrick's a nutcase." And it created one of the best movies ever made, in my opinion.
This movie makes me less of a Stephen King fan.
Oh, absolutely, because 1, he hates this, adaptation of The Shining,
Mhm.
which, in his defense, it's because it's nothing like the book almost.
Good.
Yeah, Kubrick changed so much of it,
Good.
but it was all for the best. This is a movie that is just absolutely fantastic. I love every frame of The Shining.
Every now and then, Walmart has that Steelbook 4K of The Shining that they put out there that's in all red. It looks really good, and
Yeah, yeah, it does. I've been looking for it. I haven't found it yet.
The Shining is not one of those that I rewatch often, but
Oh, it is for me.
it's one of those that when I rewatch it, I always go down the rabbit hole of like, it's a movie you can go deep with.
Oh yeah, you can watch documentaries and video essays for days
Oh,
on The Shining.
the amount of internet that is devoted to the deeper meanings of The Shining, I mean, you can literally
And
turn into
Kubrick in general.
yeah, by the end of the weekend, I've got all the pins on the board with the string connecting thing, and I'm like, so that's why it's unhealthy for me to watch this movie more than once every 3 years, like, because I
That's
go
fair.
deep into it. I'm listening to podcasts, I'm, like, redesigning my carpet at home, I'm putting axes through doors, I'm doing all sorts of things. I'm wondering if we can do landscaping in the back to sort of mimic the maze. It's a crazy thing. So, I try to limit my exposure to The Shining. Even though in Ready Player One there is some Shining stuff in there that Tyler, if you have not seen that movie, I don't remember, I think you had not seen Ready Player One. There's some Shining stuff in there that hits the vein that's really, really good, and you should at least watch those sequences because 'cause they're fantastic. Okay,
All right.
let's now move on to number 1. This is a very tough list. Once again, no honorable mentions. 5 horror movie franchise killers that really stand out to you. Where are you going?
Going with the movie that you absolutely love, believe it was your favorite movie of last year. So
I know what
it's
you're
a
gonna say.
an absolutely impeccable villain design from H.R. Giger. I'm of course talking about the xenomorph from Alien and all of the other Aliens movies. I think this character design is one of the strongest of any villain in cinematic history. It is iconic. It is terrifying. Um, the 1979 version has this atmospheric feel that I think the design of the alien really really pushes forward because it's got the crazy looking tail that it grabs people with. It's got the long head in the mouth. It's got claws. Just everything about the xenomorph is absolutely terrifying, and it works. Like this is just cool, even if you're not putting it in a movie. Just as a design, this is sick.
I'm very happy with your choice. I honestly thought you were setting me up to go Art the Clown with the way that you had set it up and like, "Oh, I know you love this movie," and even though I did like Terrifier 3 a lot, I'm not as high on those movies as you and Brian Pavlik, and when you were talking about last year, I was like, "Oh, okay, he's going Art the Clown," and when you went with the Xenomorph, I was like, "Oh, man, that's a really you were playing it straight," and I didn't realize that you
Oh
threw a curveball that was actually a fastball. It was amazing. I think it's
yeah,
was
I thought I was setting it up just like straight the
you
whole
you
way,
did
and then I
perfect.
said HR Giger.
I thought you were trying to pull the rug out from under me. I thought you were bluffing, and there you go. You had the goods there. So,
Art the Clown, I don't think would have even made top 10. He would have been just outside, I think.
ooh, okay, but with a chance to move up, obviously, because
A
he's got
chance to
more
move up. He's
filmography.
got promise, but I can't reasonably put him over stuff that would have made my quote unquote honorable mentions.
One of the genius things about the Xenomorph is that even after all these movies we've watched, you still feel like the Xenomorph hasn't been watered down to the point where you could easily defeat the Xenomorph, like
Oh
any of them.
no.
Like whether it's the big bad queen or whether it's just standard Xenomorph that's
Hmm.
walking down the hallway.
Even the little face huggers, those feel like just such a problem. Like, what do you do in them?
Chest bursters, all
Oh
of these
yeah.
things. They're all issues. Alien Romulus does a wonderful job of including all of them as much as possible. I think EG legitimately had something in her eye, but in the same sense, like she
It also looks like she was just putting her head in her hands, just like, oh my god,
will
what has become of my life?
you please promise me
I used to be a sideline reporter at Georgia Southern with a lot of promise in my career, and now I'm
Go
sitting
there, Tyler.
here listening to these two idiots talk about xenomorphs.
yes, half of that statement is true. Still, as EG mentioned, a lot of promise, but also having to sit here and listen to two idiots talk about xenomorphs.
Never said idiots.
EG, well, we did. It's on your face anyway. So, and you winked. But xenomorphs are terrifying, and they can beat you any which way. And even if
Even
you,
I looked it up.
oh, it's awful.
No, I just don't. I mean, it has a weird head, and it looks like it just you just poke it.
All right, EG, let's go to the
All right,
movies.
you need to watch Alien then.
Time to go to the movies.
I don't know. That stuff is not. I'm like it.
To be fair, EG does give off some Ripley vibes of like she could possibly be the last one of us that remains versus a xenomorph somehow, some way.
Yeah, 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 that's true.
So
If I could hurt it with my words, I would.
it's a female led horror action series that has an absolute badass in the role of Sigourney Weaver playing Ripley. And that was back when we lived in a country where it didn't matter really what the gender was of a character as long as the character was written
That's
properly.
cool.
Yeah.
And like, do,
Now I feel like if they were to, I mean, outside of Alien, say Ripley doesn't exist. I think because of Ripley is the reason why Kaylee Spaney is able to like channel that same energy
yeah,
in Alien Romulus. But say that characterization of Ripley never exists. I think nowadays we would only have movies that like call attention to when there's a female protagonist. And I just don't think that's the way to go about it.
yeah. Uh,
Sigourney Weaver is awesome.
Say Bears in the chat said some Terminators should be in here. I mean, you get the same thing there with Linda Hamilton being a badass.
Oh yeah.
Like, she goes from victim in the first one to badass in the second one. That's exactly the same with Ripley. Like she goes from being like completely overmatched in the first one for the most part to being a legit badass in the second one. Like seeing this growth is great. I mean, you got the same thing with Laurie Strode, where if you go with the 2018 Halloween, that's supposed to be a direct sequel to the first one, where first one she's a victim, second one she's legit doing target practice in her backyard, going, never again am I going to have this problem, and is a legit badass again. So if I say legit badass one more time, just throw something at me.
Where does Season of the Witch rank in your list of Halloween movies?
Not a personal fan.
But I mean, would you put it at the very bottom?
It would be towards the bottom, but it wouldn't be at the very bottom.
I'm assuming that very bottom spot is reserved for Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
It is not.
Really?
My least favorite Halloween movie of all time is Halloween Ends, which is the most recent Halloween movie.
Wow, I actually didn't see that one. So
Let me tell you, gather around, children,
Gathering
really quickly.
because Michael Myers would have made my list had he had a stronger filmography.
Okay.
Ooh, that hurt you. I'm sorry.
That hurt me a little bit. I mean, the fact that you like the zombie Halloween movies more than the Carpenter Halloween movie when you're a Carpenter fan makes no sense to me. But anyway, we won't get into that. We will not get into that. You were an impressionable young tot. You saw the Rob Zombie movie. It brought you into the fandom at least through a back door, and you're here. So, we can agree on that. But Halloween Kills is great. I love Halloween Kills. Halloween Ends is train wreck in that, like, as you said, Michael Myers, right? You got Michael Myers. That's what the movie's supposed to be. It's supposed to be Michael Myers. And they shelved Michael Myers in the movie for some kid named Corey, who's a bad babysitter. Yeah. The whole movie it's Corey's story. That's what it is.
You're joking.
No.
Yikes.
It's Corey. And Corey is just an abomination to the history of Halloween.
At
So
least Season of the Witch didn't tease you like that.
the whole thing is promoted as the final showdown between Jamie Lee Curtis and Michael Myers. Laurie Strode, Michael Myers. The final showdown. And it turns into a Corey story. And it is Corey the whole movie. And you get about 5 minutes of Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. And by then, you don't even care because Corey has beaten Michael Myers up to a bloody pulp. Like, Corey just owns Michael Myers in this movie. Like, and it's a Blumhouse production. And I will never forgive Jason Blum for this abomination of a film. Okay? And you know what they did after that? They handed the reins of The Exorcist over to David Gordon Green, who did the trilogy where 2 out of the 3 movies are good of the Halloween trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And The Exorcist
The
believers,
Exorcist franchise is dead now.
they're rebooting it again.
Oh,
That's how bad this last reboot
Yeah.
was. They're rebooting it again with Mike Flanagan, I believe. And that movie was so horrible. Halloween Ends was so horrible. And at least they lived up to the title. I mean, they ended Halloween. I mean, they really did. And who knows what we're going to get. I think there's some small screen stuff coming with Michael Myers and Haddonfield and Halloween. And like, I think they're going to television. I don't know how they're going to do it or what they're going to do or if it's going to be a direct sequel to the first one or whatever. But anyway, I'm personally hurt by Halloween Ends. It is one of my least favorite movies of all time. So that is my least favorite Halloween movie, Tyler. Short answer to a short question.
A lot of people do go with Season of the Witch. That's why I had to ask.
Season of the Witch is either,
It's either one of the top ones for
Yeah.
you or one of the bottom ones because you
Yeah.
either like that they took it in a different direction away from Michael Myers,
Yeah.
or you are livid that they would even consider doing that.
Season of the Witch is a good movie that should not have the Halloween title.
I agree.
And Halloween Ends is a bad movie that should not have the Halloween title. So I've got to go with Halloween Ends as the worst atrocity out of the two. The movie with no Michael Myers intentionally is better than the movie with no Michael Myers unintentionally. So there we have it. All right, a lot of Michael Myers talk today. Hey, I have a calendar at home, and it's called 12 months of Halloween, and every month is a Halloween themed month.
Really?
That's how much I love Halloween. I know you're a summer person, and this cold weather is probably what's got you in a little bit of a funk right now because you're like, it's supposed to be spring and summer. What's going on here with
Yes,
this cold weather?
I feel that, yes.
I mean, like people can see you right now, and they get
Leave
I
the
mean,
vibe.
you
You're
look
not
like
hiding it.
you need a Coke and some
I
sunshine.
could, except it's cold.
Exactly. Yes.
Anyways,
No,
yes,
please keep the
Tim.
glasses
Okay,
on.
thank you.
Thank you. No, keep this vibe going. Um, you know, EG's literally melting down here in the studio. At least poker. Well, no.
No.
At least Brave. No.
It
At
is.
least
It's hard to find something, Tim. Keep going, please.
It's hot in here today. Yesterday was a lot
No,
better in here. It
it
was so
feels
much.
lovely to me, actually. Dare I
Really?
say, yeah. I
Oh.
moved the fan off of me because I was getting chilly.
oh man.
My meltdown countdown is gonna be all about makeup next time, and y'all are gonna come along for the ride.
We'll do that on the Saturday meltdown. How does that sound? Okay.
Sure.
All right. Well, we're gonna get EG. We're gonna get EG back in the game. Okay. She's gonna get back in the game. We're gonna be hitting some topics here soon that she's gonna be super passionate about. Do you think you would survive a horror movie, EG?
Yes.
I mean, can you give me anything more than that? Any reason as to why you're so confident?
Well, I think that most of the time these killers, arrogant little people that need to be told no at some point in their life, and I would tell them no. You can't kill me. Make a better choice.
Well, I look forward to you having that conversation with the xenomorph and seeing how that turns out for you. But I am excited about Alien Earth, by the way. Like this
Oh, yeah.
summer, like we need to. Do you have
Well,
Hulu? Do you have FX? Do you have a way to?
I've got FX through YouTube TV.
Okay, we got to figure out a way to maybe at least review the pilot episode and maybe
Yeah.
the finale. But I'm really interested by that. I don't know anything
definitely,
about it
I
really.
definitely at least want to review the first episode, or maybe like a whole series recap.
Yeah.
Maybe we won't go episode by episode like with the House of the Dragon or anything.
You know, the Alien franchise is in a good spot right now. I mean, it really is,
It's in a
and
great spot.
that makes me happy. Another thing that makes me happy, MyBookie.ag, where you can bet on anything, anywhere, anytime. That's MyBookie.ag. Make sure you use promo code NEXTROUND. That's going to give you that 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000, plus that $10 casino chip there at MyBookie, where you can play in their live casino at MyBookie.ag. Thank you, EG, for being here with us today and powering through the pain.
Yeah.
We
No.
appreciate you so much. And we've got Tyler with a final chat check-in before we say our goodbyes.
We're gonna end the show, but I saw this in the chat and I could not let it go unnoticed.
Uh-oh.
Jeff talking about the showdown between EG and a xenomorph says, I hope the xenomorph responds, I'll pray on that.
I'll pray about it. Then I'd say, yeah, okay, perfect. And then you can go do whatever you want with them, but I'm gonna walk away. And they'd let me go.
I didn't realize how many times maybe you'd said it on the show to where the audience knew that
No,
that was
I
one of
didn't
your
realize
lines.
that either.
But you've obviously said it enough to where
I
people are.
know.
But you say it all the time.
Yeah,
She
it
says
usually
it at
means
least
no.
once a day.
Well, if it's a polite way to say no. Hey, EG, you want to go? I'll pray about it.
You say a polite way to say no, but typically it's with you turning away, rolling your eyes, and saying it in a tone that really exudes defeat. So
I need it on a T-shirt or a sticker.
I'll pray about it. Take me to God's country. Yeah, there we have it. All right, that's going to do it here for us on the Meltdown. We'll be back with you again tomorrow, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern here, live in the Culver studio. Don't forget, Thursday, we've got a brand new DVD mystery box full of slightly hairy DVDs, potentially, that have little hairs on them. But you know what? It's a lot of fun.
It's just a little dirty DVD moment.
It's a little dirty DVD, but we'll make that happen. And then
What am I doing? Dirty DVDs?
how many dirty DVDs have you actually handled yourself throughout the course of our? Are we talking about the same thing?
My mind is going elsewhere.
No, I was talking about like physically dirty copies of DVDs,
Yeah,
not
you
like
said there would be a hair on it, and I called it a dirty DVD moment.
not the smutty section of the DVD
Oh.
store.
Wow, I literally just got the other meaning of what that could. Yeah, wow. All right, yeah, Tim, take us home.
We got a weird office where the guys are obsessed with talking about art while the women are obsessed with talking about sports and the dirty section of DVD stores. Like, we got it backwards here. We're
We
not
really do.
we're not the stereotypical
We're not.
workplace.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
But
Anyway,
yeah.
what else was I saying? Oh yeah, Friday, maybe our biggest show of the year. It is our giant summer movie preview. The Meltdown's giant summer movie preview on Friday.
Yes.
You excited about that?
Thrilled.
Featuring an actual giant
You.
and an actual peach
Me.
and a lovable boy.
Lionel.
There we have it. That's going to be it for us. I don't know what's happening. Are we still on the air right now?
Oh, no.
We are. aren't
We are.
Unfortunately.
We need to not be
Yeah.
real soon before the show gets even more off the rails.
Yes, I agree.
Struggling
Thank
to
you.
talk here.
We do not want this off the rails. We definitely don't want it off the table. That's going to do it for us here on The Meltdown. We'll see you again very soon.